This is going to be a quick video called the $6 Amazon Bosch Mafell rail clamp. And what it's made for is it's made from these $6 Bessie mini clamps, micro clamps. And you can see that I put a 3D printed part on here, okay? Got a 3D printer, and I just download stuff. I don't even know how to design anything for it yet. So I just download stuff. And there's a bunch of these, but I just kind of downloaded one and made it work. But there's a bunch of people who've made these, they're all pretty much in Europe. So they use a clamp by Wolfcraft, which is a clamp that is, you know, pretty cheap there, and it's small enough. And the thing is that the bar is the important thing, okay? The bar size has to be right. So I didn't want to go down to Harbor Freight because it's, you know, I don't know, I didn't want to spend the time. They have a really cheap clamp there that might work, but I didn't try it. I bought some of these Irwins, and I think I don't think it's quite as sturdy and nice a clamp as the Bessie. And they're like, these are like $10 for two from Amazon, and the Bessies are like $6 for one, so it's almost the same. And the bar I don't remember exactly, but looking at the bar end, I think I took the head off and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that doesn't quite work with the thing that I printed. So this one is not the ideal choice for the thing that I printed, but maybe it would work for another if you have these. But I wouldn't. But then you can also look, this one might have an easier release mechanism if you care about that, if that's important to you. The Bessie, you have to, if you had it under your track, with the Bessie, you'd have to do this. But really, when you're clamping to tracks, you don't have to move it that far. So I don't know. You'd probably get used to either one. And then like that. And the other issue that I haven't figured out yet is this will only clamp to a little less than 3/4 inch. And they're all like this because it runs into the thing, see? Okay, it's not actually designed for this. And then the other thing is that the way you would fix that is you would print a 3D printed foot for this, but I didn't find one for free on the 3D printing sites, and I haven't learned how to design one yet, so I am doing without for the time being. But if you want to do thinner, you can stick a piece of scrap in there, or you can figure out a way to make your own foot to make it work. And the reason I picked this one to print was because this foot didn't stick out too far, and because people said it was a little thick. So this way I could sand it so it fits perfectly and be as strong as possible. And this one's also a little thicker here. They're not all like that. They vary. They're not all like that. Now when I printed it up, I found I had to file that a little deeper for the little pin in the bar. Okay, and I'll show you the rest of the process. So I've tried to get organized here so I can do this as quickly as possible for you. All right, this is the old one. I took it apart, and I put the thing back in, so I still have it. The other thing is, all right, here's the second foot that hasn't been sanded down yet in any way, and you can see the hole doesn't match up. So what am I gonna do? I have this little cross pin, roll pin that's in there. Now I don't know. I guess I could pound that out or something. But what I did the first time is I filed it down. I found some files that I had, and I just kind of hacked away at it. If you don't have little files, they can be very useful. But this time I found a bunch of my little files that I use in guitar making, and I'm going to look and see. I don't even have the one in here that I wanted, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I have a kind of thick one that I like. These are all on the thin side, so I don't know what happened to my files. But well, this one is a half round file, but actually for what I want to do, it might give me the thickness that I want. All right, so I need to file this down a little bit and make a little hole right here so the hole can match up. And then the next step is I need to drill the hole a little bit deeper. I'm going to use the drill press for that. And I'll tell you the bit size I used, and it's an unusual one, because I just found the bit that I could put my hands on quickest that was going to fit and not drill out, was going to fit the 6/32 screw that I was using, was actually from this old tap kit that I have that I use occasionally. And the size is that, it's hard to read because it's embossed. It looks like it's size It's the tap drill for an 8/32 screw, but I think I'm actually using a 6/32 screw to put in the hole because that's the only one that fits. I don't know, whatever size I'm using. I think this is a 6/32 screw, and the reason I chose this one is because the head will fit in this little notch that is meant for a metric screw. And so I didn't want to go to the trouble of finding the metric screws and messing around with that or buying them. I just went with this and I made it work. So this is for us Yanks here, okay? Because over here, the Wolfcraft clamps on Amazon, and I don't know if they're really great clamps or anything. It's just they're probably people in Europe buy them because they're the cheapest ones they can get. But over here, they're like $20 or $22 a set for a pair. So I was like, no, I'm just going to buy a couple cheap ones and see what fits. But like I said, if you go down to Harbor Freight, I think they sell their version for like $3 a piece. So you could even do the $3 clamp if you have a 3D printer, or a friend will print one out for you. And this is another thing I printed up, but I messed up the threads to it. This is a clamp you can 3D print yourself entirely for these things. That's part of the clamp that it's not going to work because I didn't know anything about printing threads and it's messed up. So to print threads, you have to manipulate the software more to do it right. With computer stuff, I mostly just want it to work. I've learned how to do computer stuff over the years, and then I don't do it for a while, and then I forgot how I did it and all this kind of stuff. So sometimes I even try to take notes. I'm very forgetful about that stuff, and I like them when they work, when they're easy for me. I just don't want to mess with them doing stuff that doesn't work easily. I used to do that stuff. I used to do a lot of internet stuff early on. I used to do a lot of video marketing and stuff. And, so I knew a lot about internet, search engines and all kinds of stuff back then, but it's all out of date now, all my knowledge, because it was a long time ago. I had websites and all that stuff. I knew a lot about email marketing and stuff. So I did that for a while. When I wasn't doing woodworking, I was doing that for a while because I got tired of all the heavy lifting and being dirty all the time and all that. But here I am, I'm back messing around in the shop. And just kind of, I don't know, I'm just kind of doing this for fun, really, my channel. I've had it for a long time, but I haven't really posted much. But I have a lot of ideas and a lot of experience doing these things. I've fooled around with a lot of tools. I've built a lot of weird stuff, and musical instruments and furniture. I've bent wood with steam, all kinds of stuff. Some of that stuff for money, for clients, and sometimes stuff just because I was curious about the process and wanted to learn more. There's still stuff I haven't learned. I'm not very good at carving, not at all. I have some tools for it, but I'm not very good at it, and haven't practiced. And I know a little bit about marquetry. I'd like to get into it, but I just haven't applied myself. And almost everybody's designing their marquetry stuff on the computer these days, and I don't feel like getting into it. I just don't feel like learning that skill, But if you can design marquetry, actually these days you can kind of cheat, and that's what everybody's doing. Like Paul Church and these guys who are experts in cutting it by hand. But when the computers came along, they just started spending all their time designing stuff, and then they have it laser cut. Or that's what he did early on, but he probably just laser cuts it in his shop now. But he knows how to design this stuff. It's beautiful work. So, I mean, why bother with learning how to cut it the traditional way on scroll saw if you can just laser cut it out, Unless there's some reason, because like laser cutting, I don't know, it burns the edges a little bit, so maybe it's better for the thin veneer, thin regular veneer that you see on plywood, that kind of thing, rather than the thick veneer that the really serious French marquetry guys like to use. It's like a millimeter thick. That stuff it's different. All right, so now I've got the hole lining up, and now I need to enlarge it with, I think I said size, if you have a machinist index, I think it says size 29 drill. That's a 29 drill in your machinist index, but that's just because I didn't want to remove too much metal. Best practice when drilling metal is to use a little oil, but I don't want to make a mess on my nice MDF table that I use to drill wood. I use my drill press. And I can sharpen the bit anyway, you know, in the future if it's a problem, because I know how to do that. All right. That looks like that's going to go. All right. And I work it in there, and see if you can see, the hole's going to line up, and that was pretty quick, but I knew how to do it. You didn't get to watch me cluttering around, and this doesn't want to fit. So probably what I did before is I kind of got it pretty close, and then I probably just screwed it in. Sometimes you could do that with a hole. Let's see, yeah, it's going to go in the hole, so it's just the right size that it'll screw in, but you can't press it in. That happens, you know. So it's just, I think that's just the right size to remove the minimum amount of metal to get you know, so you have the maximum amount of strength, which is, oh, I just put it on backwards. No, I put it on right. I did. All right. And I have my little wrench ready, which looks like it's an 8mm wrench, but you know, there's a imperial wrench that'll fit too. This is just the one I grabbed. I know some nut sizes just by looking at them, but you know, the little ones, I forget what fits them sometimes. All right, and then the last process, and maybe I should have done this first, is I take my sanding board, which is very useful, which is a cut in half 48-inch belt sander strip, and this one's very old, so it's pretty worn down. It's probably 60 grit or something, and you sand it. I learned about doing this making acoustic guitars, and it's very useful because I don't have a drum sander right now, and drum sanders take time and they're slow, and if you just want whatever, and I don't even have a belt sander right now. I don't feel like I have to. I'd like to have all this stuff. My shop is crammed, just crammed with other machinery and stuff from my professional woodworking days that I may reboot at some time. I don't know. You know, just never. I had a little belt sander, but at some point during a move I sold it, and I had got another one. I'd like another little one though. With little, one of those little machines. That was fine for what I do with a belt sander. I mean, but having the space, yeah, I definitely want something like an edge sander or something. That would be useful to me as a pro, but space is the problem. I'm gonna move to a bigger space eventually. That's in the cards, but not today. So I finally have space to set up all my machinery properly, so I have all the space around them I need to work in. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong here. This one's not quite fitting. But it seems like, oh, there it goes. There it goes. All right, I don't want to break off the part that slides off. Some of them had a longer tongue on them, the 3D prints that I looked at. But I was like, well, the tongue's just kind of sticking out there. That's the most fragile part, and why do you need it, really? It's not a festool clamp. It's not meant for other clamping jobs. It's just for clamping this. You know, I just really like clamping the rails. That's all you're going to use it for, right? You're not gonna use it like with an MFT for work holding. All right. And my reason for going, I've used the festool stuff for years. I got my first festool saw in, I don't know, 2002 or something, with the old track system. And I have the new track system now. I have festool stuff, and I just got the Bosch stuff, and I really like the track system. I really think it's cool. It has drawbacks. It doesn't have that accessory thing on the edge like the festool tracks do. I mean, that's a bummer. But I've made some parallel guides again from parts I 3D printed and simple metric aluminum tubing. But the drawback of the Bosch track is, or maybe it's a benefit, is it has to sit on top. It has to sit on top of the track. See, these slide easily. So actually, you don't need to measure them. You make a mark on your work, put the fence there, drop this onto the track, and then you put you make the other one the same distance, drop it on the other side, and you're done. And when you move your track, you just take it off and then put it back on. It's sort of like, I don't know, it's different. You see, and that's the way you have to do it with Bosch. That's the only way that's going to work. So that's the thing that you would have to get used to. But on the other hand, maneuvering around those parallel guides sticking out when they're attached to your track festool style, I mean, is that ideal? Is that something you want to do? Having that, it's just awkward, you know. if you want to use parallel guides. Maybe the Bosch system's better. I haven't really assessed it yet because I haven't used those. So yeah, so this is the new one. This is the old one. I hope I didn't mix them up. And yeah, they both work. So there we go. There's your $6 parallel or track clamp, and that's how I do it. And that's all I need.